So this is Darci's Corner. It's July 7th, 2023. This topic's probably going to get me in trouble, so we'll see how it goes. I hate talking about the subject because it makes me uncomfortable, but it also makes me seem ungrateful, and I don't mean to be ungrateful. I want to talk about race a little bit. And, as a white person, we're not supposed to talk about race because we have white privilege, and I do have white privilege. I have noticed it. A couple of years ago, there was a Athabasca chief was stopped in the parking lot. Him and his wife were about to get in the vehicle. His wife was going to drive, and he'd been drinking a little bit, but his wife was driving, and she hadn't been drinking, so that was fine. But his registration has expired, and instead of just giving him a ticket and warning him for next time, the cops beat him up. And when you watch the video of the event playing out, they go to arrest him, and he's like, "Why are you arresting me?" And then the other cops seen that and tackled him. And initially, the cops dismissed that as just perfectly fine, and then after there was a complaint, they finally withdrew the charges because they should have withdrawn the charges. Shouldn't have happened to that guy. I've been in a similar situation, and I was never worried that I was going to get tackled or attacked or arrested. I've had my registration not be correct before, and then the cop just said, "Don't do that again." And they gave me a warning, and I got it fixed the next day, and it was fine. Which is what should have happened to that man. But that's an example of white privilege. When I get pulled over by the police, I'm not really worried I'm going to get beat up or arrested. I might get a ticket. I might get a warning, but that's about what's going to happen to me. Which is what should happen if you're involved in a minor traffic violation. It should be that simple. So I'm aware that I have white privilege. I no longer have male privilege. Quite the opposite, actually. I have suspicion now everywhere I go that I'm some sort of a monster. I'm trying to record this somewhat serious video, and somebody wants to go to the park. I'm glad I have a pause button on this thing. Anyway. But yeah, talking about race. So I'm clearly white, and I have white privilege, but I don't have male privilege anymore. I have transgender suspicion now. Everywhere I go, everything I do gets analyzed, and I have to worry about that. And it's difficult for me to meet people, especially potential dating partners, because I stand out, not in a good way, in a small town. And I met this non-binary trans person, and they happen to be Native, but, and this is going to sound bad because I'm going to say, but I have Native friends, and I do. And like, I grew up with Native friends, and I grew up with Native girls living in the same house as me, well, in the same day home as me, but they're like my cousins. That's how I think of them. I think that's how they think of me. But that doesn't mean that I'm not racist. I try hard not to be racist or to indulge in racist tendencies. And I'm not perfect at it, but I care and I try. But this person who I'm trying to date, like on day one, our first kind of date was Canada Day, which is kind of a sore spot for a lot of First Nations people, and it was for this person too. I'm like, oh, that's unfortunate that it's a day that they find offensive. And here I am wearing a Canada Day hat, and like I'm proud to be Canadian, even though I'm not happy with the apartheid state that our country was in for a long time. And residential schools was a horrible thing, and those unmarked graves are like, that's disgusting, right? And it is disgusting, and I'm sorry about that. I didn't do it, but I'm sorry it happened, and I feel bad about it. Anyway, but we exchanged information like contact information, but it took them a while to add me back on their Snapchat. But they did eventually. And I was just playing around with Snapchat filters, and oh look, there's an avatar filter. And I wasn't even thinking of anything rude. I was just playing with filters, and I sent them a picture of me as an avatar, and I said I'm feeling blue because I was just being funny and I was just playing with filters. And then they were all offended about cultural appropriation that's in the Avatar movies, and I get that they took the native culture and they just made them blue and put them on another planet. Like I get that, but how is that any different from any of the other art movies, like Last of the Mohicans or Dances with Wolves, and like all the way that my generation learned this stuff is through art, through movies, through those types of movies that depicted those stories. Um, so I guess you could say it's cultural appropriation, or you could say it's representation. I mean, it's all a matter of point of view, really. Either way, I wasn't really trying to offend that person, nor was I trying to argue with them about what was or wasn't an appropriate movie to watch. I was just playing with Snapchat filters and like, but if they're looking to be offended about white culture and what it's done to their culture, like, I can't do anything about that. I feel terrible about it, about the history, I mean. And I'm not real happy about some of the things that are going on in the present, to be honest with you, but now I'm in this defensive position where I have to go around saying I'm not racist. And in other words, I can't be myself because if I'm myself, some aspects of myself might unintentionally be racist. Like the fact that I like the Avatar movies. I did. I liked the first movie. The second movie I didn't like as much, but it was fine. Um, as sequels go, it was okay. It was just a continuation of the first movie, really. Uh, which, again, I liked the first movie. Some people didn't. That's fine. You know, your taste in art could be subjective. Maybe mine's bad. Anyway, it's just frustrating because I'm really not a racist person. And I think that this person is absolutely beautiful. And I just, but beauty isn't everything, you know? If, uh, if they don't want to be part of my world because they think my worldview is racist, well, then I can't do anything about that either. And it's frustrating because I try so hard to not be racist. Like, I genuinely care about that. Not that their views aren't important or don't matter. Like, they do matter. And I try to care about everybody. Anyway, this is probably not making me look good. But I do feel really bad that racism screws up so many things. Anyway, this is Darci's Corner, rambling about racism and how it's affecting my life today in ways that make me upset. Racism sucks. Darci's Corner. Peace.